Hey, everybody. Welcome to a bonus episode of Blue Collar Sports Talk. Going to sit down with Roger today.
Husker PAC12's confused. Recorded yesterday.
I know, HuskerBot. We're just having fun.
HuskerBot thinking about fun. HuskerBot likes fun. HuskerBot wants Huskers to win.
Everybody wants the Huskers to win. HuskerBot 3000. And now here's our show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Blue Collar Sports Talk Friday edition, special edition. Got Roger sitting here right after work.
Hello, everybody.
It's been a while. Glad we could do this again. I know it's tough when we're on different shifts.
Yeah.
And we all love to chat sports together, so I'm glad we made this work today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I haven't really discussed anything other than football with you. Kind of had a hiatus with baseball and basketball, so yeah, it's good to be here.
Okay, you said you wanted to talk Pac-12 and SEC, and then you also brought up, before we started recording, the last time we played Northern Illinois.
Yes.
So I want to talk Husker football first, and I want to talk about that game because you brought that up in 2017. September 16th, 2017, Northern Illinois came to town and shocked us at home. And I had forgotten until you mentioned it, and I had to bring it up. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead. After half, we came back and scored 17 points, but it wasn't enough. They put up another touchdown in the fourth.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember that because that was like Tanner Lee's string of throwing pick sixes. He threw like a pick six in like 4 straight games, it seemed like. I don't know if it was 4 straight games, but it was a lot.
That was Northern Illinois.
And that was Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
He turned to throw the ball out to the wide receiver, basically right down the line of scrimmage, and Northern Illinois stepped in front of it and took it to the house.
Yeah, that was their first score.
Yeah.
He had 3 picks that game. He did throw for 299 yards, but he had 3 picks.
Yep.
And for Northern Illinois to get on the board first with a pick 6, that's just rough at home.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is Nebraska's first home game, which just a few weeks ago, we had a sellout of a volleyball game there. And everybody just said the crowd was pumping. Said it was a great atmosphere. So I'm kind of hoping that same atmosphere comes. I hope that volleyball game atmosphere carries over. And I hope, because we're at home, I hope that's all we need to maybe turn things around. I don't know. I mean, it's funny just to even bring that up and say it like that, because it's been what? Well, probably since Tanner Lee's interception at Northern Illinois that Nebraska has not turned it around. I mean, it just seems like every week we do something to shoot ourselves in the foot.
There's so many things that have happened through the years. And when we look back at Husker history right now, things haven't been the same since Solich has been there. And we haven't had a constant. We haven't had any stability in the program, and that's from the top up. That's from the athletic department all the way down to the Husker football coach. We've changed multiple athletic directors, and with each athletic director, they want to try a new coach, and some of them have hired or fired 2, and there's been no stability. Now, my hopes is Trev Alberts sticks with Matt Rule for a while. As long as nothing crazy happens with Matt Rule, and I'm not wishing that to happen. I don't think that'll happen, but you never know. But I want some stability.
Yeah.
We used to never switch coaches.
No.
And now it's just, we pay people to leave, and it's rough. The one thing I don't know about the Huskers this Saturday, who's going to start a quarterback? They're saying...
Yeah, I haven't heard either.
They're saying Sims is questionable. I've heard everything under the sun, and even if people out there listen to other stuff like Adam Carricker. Adam Carricker has his own podcast, and he is even saying, a former Husker, that Sims shouldn't be the starter. It's rough. Sims is a good quarterback, great running quarterback, just maybe not the best in having had enough time to get his timing with his current receivers down. But the last broadcast on Fox, they threw out an interesting stat. He has the most turnovers right now of any player in the current active FBS system that's currently playing.
Yeah.
The most turnovers, Roger.
Yeah.
And he's our
33?
quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's our quarterback.
Yeah.
I hope if we stick with him, my hope is he turns it around. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We are favored against Northern Illinois. And
it's going down, though.
I know it. It is going down. I haven't looked what it is as of today. Have you seen what it is as of today?
It was started at, 13 now. It went all the way down to 11.
All right. It is, as of right now, it is. Yeah, it's still 11. Yeah, a couple days ago, let me look at my notes here. As a couple of days ago, I had the overs and unders, and that was at 11.5. So, yeah, you're right. It continually goes down, doesn't it? That's not a good sign, but hey, I wish our team all the best. And
yeah.
they're going to need, I hate to say luck, but if they turn it over again, they're going to need luck to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, they need to get some confidence. We need to get that win. I think that first game, if we could have just not turned the ball over and beat Minnesota, I mean, who knows? I mean, a win's a big deal. And if these kids could have started off the year with a win, then I don't know. But like I said, I mean, I just thinking of that volleyball game and 90,000 people were there cheering. Maybe a home atmosphere is something we need to turn this thing around. We'll see.
I was lucky enough. I had the day off. I took a vacation day for that day, and I watched it. The most interesting thing about that match, since it was outside, how the players had to react to the volleyball with the wind gusts. That and the crowd noise. You could tell it affected them.
Yeah.
With 90,000 fans screaming at you when you're used to an arena that holds 10,000.
Yeah.
That is something. You multiply it by 9 or 10,000. Or I'm sorry, you multiply it to have 90,000 plus screaming in your ear. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you'd mentioned you wanted to talk about Pac12 SEC. Who do you want to go?
I found it interesting that Alabama got beat by Texas. Alabama. This is Alabama's first loss against a non-conference Power 5 school since 2007. That was Nick Saban's first year. And he lost, I believe it was Florida State. And for the next 15 years, he never lost a non-conference game against a Power 5 school until he lost to Texas Saturday. So that's huge. That's huge.
Texas has really come a long way in the last, I'll say, 5 years.
Yeah. So I found that interesting that Alabama's been that successful against all the other conferences.
They're kind of almost sitting where we were years and years ago, late 80s, early 90s, where everybody hated Nebraska because they won so much. And now other teams are starting to gain just a little bit of traction. But it also shows how far Texas has come with their ability to knock off, I'll say, a powerhouse of the SEC.
Yeah, Alabama plays 3 ranked teams coming up here. In the next 7 games, they play 3 ranked teams. And they also have A&M and Mississippi State on the road, which A&M was ranked. Now they're unranked. Mississippi State could probably be ranked when they play them. So Alabama's got a very tough schedule. Is this the year where Alabama could possibly lose 3 games, 4 games?
Ole Miss is tough.
Yeah.
So is Mississippi State. Before we started recording, I'd mentioned to you that Georgia and Mississippi State are tied right now for point differentials with the most points scored and the least points allowed as far as a couple of top SEC teams.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, you never know who LSU, granted they've lost one, but they're really good.
Yeah.
And they get them late in the season in November. Tennessee late in October.
Yeah. Yeah, Alabama allowed 34 points to Texas. LSU's loss, they allowed 45 points to Florida State. A&M allowed 48 points to the Miami Hurricanes. So these SEC defenses not as good as they once were. I mean, it used to be they shut teams out, only allow them 10 points, 7 points, but giving up a lot of points this year.
Could be the offense side too. If it's tough to shut these offenses down that are so powerful and well balanced. If you stop them through the air, okay, then they're going to run it on you 150 yards per running back. Or if you stop the running back, then they're going to put up 300, 400, 500 yards on you.
Yeah. And then on the other note, Georgia, they don't play a ranked team until week 10. And it's just looking like it's Georgia three-peat all over. I mean, they look like they're probably the best team in the nation, and they're possibly going to three-peat.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah.
To have Georgia do a three-peat.
Yeah. Do you know who the last team was to three-peat?
I want to say Miami.
No, all the way back in the 30s.
Minnesota. Yeah. Yeah, as soon as I said Miami, I knew it was wrong. It was the under M one, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, how far has Minnesota dropped out of being a dynasty to win a three-peat?
Yeah.
But again, you're looking at the 20s, you said 20s or 30s?
30s.
30s all
Yeah,
the way.
I looked it up last night after I saw that they won 3 in a row. Then they won 5 national titles in 7 years back then. So, yeah.
That's a talented Minnesota team back in the 1930s.
Yep.
Long before we had ESPN and fights with Dish and Direct and Spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Are you able to, the only reason I bring that up, are you able to watch any ESPN now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They've figured it out.
Yep.
I brought that up because earlier in the week I was talking to Roger, and it seems to happen every year with a different provider. A few years ago, Dish got into a dispute with the Disney group, and you couldn't watch any ESPNs, ABCs, or any of that stuff on the Dish provider. Prior to that, DirecTV got into a fight with them, and then DirecTV wouldn't let you watch any ABCs, ESPNs, or any of that stuff. Yeah. And now you said it was Spectrum.
Yeah.
And the only people that seem to pay for it are the sports lovers. You still have to pay your monthly bill, and it happens every single time they renegotiate contracts.
Yeah.
So expect your cable bill to go up. That's my rant on cable TV prices there.
Yeah.
Okay, so SEC, really tough with the Georgia being on top, but also we're seeing more of a parity situation where other teams are gaining more traction. It's not just one, or do you think it's faltering? Well,
you had Alabama and LSU both in the top 5 preseason rankings, and now they're both out of the top 5. So, well, they're both out of top. Well, I think Alabama's 10th, LSU's like 14th. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's early in the year, and we'll have to see if when this all settles down, that SEC still ain't the best conference in the nation. But right now, early on, it looks like the Pac-12 is.
Okay, looking at that right now, SEC, Georgia's ranked 1. Then next down, Alabama at 10. Next down from that is Tennessee at 11. LSU at 14 and Ole Miss at 17.
Yeah.
I think Mississippi State could crack the top 25 anytime soon, as well as potentially Arkansas and Auburn, and who knows what Kentucky could do.
Yeah.
So then you mentioned the Pac-12, and right now the Pac-12 has
8 teams.
Yeah.
8 teams in the top 25.
Well, 7.
And they're falling apart.
One of them dropped out. As of right now, you have USC, Colorado, Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA, Utah, Washington, and Washington State.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can't count. That's 8.
That is 8. Yep. Yep.
I didn't carry the 12. Okay, yeah that's 8. And with Colorado just gaining momentum every week, looking at their schedule, do you think there's anybody on their schedule that's going to stop them anytime soon?
Oh, yeah. They that was one thing I wanted to talk about, too. They play 6 ranked teams. The only other ranked team in the Pac-12 that they don't play is Washington. They play all the other 6 teams.
Right.
I was all ready to say that even after a 2-0 start, I still think Colorado will go 6-6. But I'll give them a benefit. I think they go 5-5 the rest of the year.
Okay. After Saturday they play Colorado State at home.
Yep.
From there, they go on the road to Oregon.
Yep.
A very talented Oregon team.
High-scoring Oregon team. And Colorado's defense is the one thing that they're not doing good.
From Oregon, they go back home to Boulder and then play Southern Cal, who's currently ranked 5th.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 teams right there that could just really ruin Deion's.
Well, I don't think it would ruin them. I mean,
I'm saying ruin his high, could, not necessarily ruin his season. Just right now, they're just riding on cloud 9 right now. Yes. And that would take them down a peg or 2 if they lose back-to-back games like that. And from there, start of October, they go to Arizona State, then Stanford, UCLA. They play Oregon State, who's really surprised me.
Oregon State is... See, that's the thing is, yes, Colorado is... And, of course, us being from Nebraska, we know Colorado better than Oregon and Washington State. But that Oregon State team, that Washington State team, they're just as exciting and just as fun to watch as Colorado right now. So, Colorado ain't the only team in the Pac-12 shocking people.
Right, yeah. If you look at a per game average, Oregon State puts up very balanced 200 and almost 30 yards passing and over 230 yards rushing. And then if you look on the defensive side, when they meet Colorado, their rush yards allowed are 50 for Oregon State and their pass yards allowed are 175. So Colorado has, like you were saying, has a lot to look forward to in the upcoming games in their season.
Yeah, I really think that they'll play 500 the rest of the way.
So you're okay. So you think Colorado ends up 6-6?
No, I end 7-5. I'll say 7-5.
Okay, Colorado ends 7-5. I'll even put /6-6. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also interested to see where TCU ends for the rest of the year. Granted, they had a very hyped up Colorado for game 1, and Nebraska gave them so many turnovers. I don't think Colorado will have any issues with Colorado State. I think you're right. I think that they shock maybe 1 or 2 more teams. I don't know if it's UCLA that'll knock them down, but I think Oregon State's going to give them a run for their money, and definitely Oregon. So the 2 Oregon teams for sure. So I don't know. I'm going to go Colorado wins 7 or 8 for the year. 7 to 8 wins. And we'll see what happens from there. But the Pac-12 is really stout this year.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Even, I was going to say, even the 1-loss teams, Arizona's a 1-loss team, Arizona State, Cal, Stanford, they're still, that's a very talented team.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is like I said, these are all kids. These are 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And if you give them confidence to win football games, they're going to play a lot harder than if they lose right out of the gate and are basically, I don't know, the fans, maybe coaches, maybe some of their friends or like, God, you guys stink, you know?
How about this? How about this for a what if? What if Colorado wins all of its games?
Yeah.
What if they go all the way to the college football playoffs and they meet Georgia? And I know it's super early.
Yeah.
And I know it's super early. This is just
Yeah.
a big hypothetical what if. They meet Georgia.
Yeah.
Who do you think comes out on top?
Well, that's easy. I mean, look what Georgia did to TCU last year.
I think Georgia would crush them.
It was 65-3, 65-7. What was the final score?
Right. I don't think Colorado has the defense to stop Georgia.
That's what I mean, yeah.
They might have the offense to stay with them. They couldn't stop TCU.
And that was the thing about TCU last year is I remember doing some of our podcasts last year, and we actually was given TCU credit for having one of the better defenses in the Big 12, because the Big 12 defenses have always been trash in the past.
At least in the last 10 years, they haven't been the best, have they?
And then all of a sudden, TCU's defense just fell off the last 2 games of the year, they gave up, 110 points to Michigan and Georgia. And they lost to K-State in the Big 12 championship. So, yeah, their defense just went away in a big way.
So Georgia plays South Carolina this Saturday, and they're favored by 27.
Yeah.
Alabama plays.
And I think South Carolina can keep it closer than that.
I think so, too.
Georgia's one of them teams where they don't have to score a lot to beat you. But if they choose to want to score a lot, they can. I mean, that's just what I get from them. They're that good. So I could see Georgia winning that game 31-10, you know.
Georgia is that good. Georgia is right now averaging over 340 yards passing a game and over 120 yards rushing a game.
Yeah.
They're pretty stout. So
yeah, I looked at some of the yards per game last night, and I don't know the exact numbers, but there's one team out there that's averaging over 600 yards a game in its first 2 games of the year. And then the next teams were around the 550, 560. But what I thought was weird was there was like 2 of those teams in the top 5 already had a loss. So yet they're getting 550 yards a game, but yet they're losing because their defense is that bad. It's just an offensive game anymore. It is. You just spread out the players and you just fling the ball around. And, you know, if you got playmakers, you know, you get them out in the open and they make one guy miss, they're 70 yards down the field, you know.
If you're the coach, how do you stop that?
Yeah. In the past, you would try to put some of your best athletes on defense, you know, to match up with them guys on offense. And I don't know if just in the last, so many years, all these kids are like, I don't want to play defense. I want to score touchdowns. And so now all the great athletes are back on offense. And we don't have a Deion Sanders on defense that can, you know, break up every pass play or, you know.
Okay. Having said that, what do you think about Colorado's two-way player?
Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to watch him a whole lot, but, I mean, he sounds like he's the best athlete in college football.
Right. And I think he is one of those players.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that Colorado has enough of those on defense to make a difference when they meet some of those bigger teams.
Well, if he continues to play every down, which I don't think he will, I don't think you can play 12 games like that. I mean, I know people say, well, they did it years and years ago, but years and years ago, games went quicker. You had maybe 50, 60 total plays. Now you're running 90 to 100 total plays. I mean, you're on the field playing a lot more, a lot faster. So I don't know if he can keep up, but if he keeps up and has any success, touchdowns, yards, whatever, interceptions, he's the Heisman Trophy winner, ain't he?
Right. As a fan of the game, I hope he keeps up, and I hope he doesn't get hurt. Because the guy's amazing to watch on both sides of the ball, as a receiver and as a defender. Yeah. I mean, he's the guy who single-handedly gave TCU a loss with that interception at the goal line.
Yeah.
And then to still have over 100 yards receiving. He's just fun to watch. He's great for football. And you're right.
Yeah.
If he continues this for every single game, the Heisman is his.
Yeah.
But also, it could be a two-man game if Shedeur Sanders does the exact same thing he's been doing week in, week out.
True. And they love to give the Heisman to a quarterback too.
And I'm trying to fumble for this really quick here. I don't know if he has thrown any interceptions yet this year, and I'm trying to bring up his stats. Shedeur Sanders, he has already thrown for 6 touchdowns, 903 yards, and 0 interceptions.
Well, last week listening to that game, Nebraska in the first half, we sacked him like, was it 6 times in the first half, 5 times we sacked him like 8 times for the whole game.
He's been sacked 11 times already.
But
this year,
we also held them. They were like at one point like 6 for 14 on third down conversions, and I'm like, well, now I know why the game is at that point. It was what, 3-0 or whatever, 10-0. But our offense just cannot give them guys any help. And I know after the game's over, you look at 34 points and 500 yards of total offense, but it's like, God, our guys were out there all game long. I mean, eventually, your defense is going to tire.
The defense did tire, and I'm trying to pull up the stats. I thought our time of possession was almost equal. Yeah. Okay, so ours was 29 minutes and 41 seconds, and theirs was 30 minutes and 19 seconds.
See, I would have never guessed it was that close. It just seemed like we were out there the whole game.
They just broke our spirit after every single turnover.
Yeah.
Every single
Every
one.
turnover. We had one punt that only went 20 yards. And I know in the stat book it don't go down as a turnover, but when you turn the ball over on downs, I mean, you're giving them the ball right there. So, I mean, you're giving them a short field.
They had 9 yards averaged per pass.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop them. We stopped him on the ground. We just couldn't stop Shedeur Sanders in his arm. I mean, he had the ability to get third down conversions at a 50% rate, and we were 4 of 13, so under 40% on third down. You're not going to win if you do that.
No.
So, again, Colorado's fun to watch. And being a Husker fan, it's tough to say, but, if you love football and you want to see a fun game, watch Colorado. They will give you a lot to watch. Shedeur Sanders, Hunter, they are going to give you a fun game to watch. If you want to watch a team that throws a game away every week, that's the Huskers right now. And I hope we turn it around. I don't know what it would take. I hope Matt Rule has some crazy thing up his sleeve to get everybody that fumbles and throws these interceptions on track to stop the turnover bug. I wish it was as easy as a vaccine. You get a turnover vaccine and you no longer have turnovers, but it's not.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head. For me, it's confidence. If you can get these kids one game, and I hope it's this Northern Illinois game, and I hope we can just demolish them so we get these kids to have that winning mentality.
Yeah.
Because we need it.
Yeah. And I said in the past, dating back even to last year, I said, the Big Ten West is terrible. It's just not a good football. It's just not good football. It wasn't last year, and I haven't seen anything that changes it this year. And I said, if that's what it takes for Nebraska to get some wins, if I'm banking Nebraska's success on all the other teams being terrible, so be it. I just want some wins. I want to see us win some football games, because that's what it's going to take to get fans to believe that we can win.
Yeah, I hope we get there, Roger. I hope we get there.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Well, just, going back to Texas, I mean, Texas is another team much like Georgia. They got a favorable schedule. They only play 2 ranked teams, as of right now on their schedule, and that's K-State and Oklahoma. So I don't know if Texas is one of them teams that's going to make it to the Big 12 or the playoff this year. But yeah.
Yeah, right now, Texas has put up 71 points and held their opponents to 34 in 2 games. They're ranked 4th. Oklahoma, who's ranked 19th, has put up 101 points and have allowed 11. But again, quality of opponents, if you look at who they've played with that win against Texas, again, that puts them definitely at the number 4 spot with Oklahoma at 19. Yeah. The landscape of football by conference next year is going to be weird. The Big Ten changes drastically with all the people we put in there.
Mm-hmm.
The Pac-12, is it dead? We don't know yet. I mean, Oregon State and Washington State are still trying to hold on and pull teams in. We don't know if that's going to happen. Big 12 is going to look really different as they pull in different teams. SEC is losing.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure who Big 12's pulling in.
Well, they're losing Texas.
They're losing Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
To the SEC, both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, let's see, Cincinnati's already there, and I can't remember.
Well, it's just not getting any easier for Nebraska.
No.
With them adding USC and UCLA now, I mean, yeah, it's
Houston. That's what it was. Utah, Houston. They call them the 4 border schools. Those are the ones that Big 12 is going to add next year.
And then next year is the expansion of the playoffs.
I can't wait for that.
12 teams?
I really think that they needed to do that from the get-go, but I think it's great.
So the top 4 teams will get a bye, of course. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it should be fun. It'll be interesting to see how all the scheduling works on what they do. I mean, are they going to have to trim some of these games, outside of the conference to make this all work?
Yeah.
But it should be fun. Arizona State, that was the other one. Arizona State, Utah. Okay. BYU, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston. Okay, so BYU's already there. University of Central Florida and Cincinnati and Houston. Yeah. Conferences have changed from the beginning of time, and as long as money's involved and someone will get more money and someone will feel slighted, they'll continue to change. So that's nothing new. The only thing that does change is fans don't get to see their rivalry, and they'll have to create new rivalries.
Yeah.
And the people holding the money bag, they don't care. So, Roger, any other thoughts?
Well, I guess I can throw a shout out to the my old 49ers, the team I was on all last year. How about that team starting off that first week?
They're looking good.
And you want to talk about I don't think that Brock Purdy is probably the best quarterback out there, but when he's surrounded with a lot of talent, and they are playing hard for that kid.
They are.
I think the 49ers are the team again. I'm just gonna be on their bandwagon again all year. I mean, I'm still gonna root for my Falcons, but that 49ers team is legit.
I think you're right. They're 100% correct. I wanted to mention I found an article this morning that former Detroit Lion running back Barry Sanders worked with Prime Video and Amazon Studios, and they put together a documentary on why he left the Lions. So if you're a fan...
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of Barry Sanders, if you're a fan of great running backs, even if you're not a fan of the Lions, November 21st is what I read. They are going to have a documentary on Prime, and it's about Barry Sanders. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
This should be a very interesting
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah, if he could have, he had 1,500 yards or 15,000 yards in 10 seasons. I think the record for yards is just over 18,000. I think Emmitt Smith has over 18,000. But if Barry Sanders could have worked out some contract and played 4 or 5 more years with Detroit, he would have put that rushing record way out of reach. And nobody coming up is going to come close to that because it's not a running game no more. It's a passing league, and I think your days of seeing 1,500-yard rushers is over.
Right. I found this very interesting. He retired 1 year after winning the MVP, and he rushed for over 2,000 yards that year. So, I mean, he went out on the top of his game.
Yeah.
And Frank Gore, who sits at number 4, Barry Sanders sits at number 4, and Frank Gore, who played 16 seasons and needed 88 more games than Sanders to be even close to the amount of yards that he rushed. 88 more games.
88 or 66, what'd you say?
Frank Gore played 16 seasons.
Yeah.
6 more seasons,
Okay.
88 more games.
Wow.
To even come close to Barry Sanders. That's amazing.
Yep.
So, again, November 21st, a documentary about Barry Sanders on Prime. I can't wait.
Yep, I want to watch that too.
Anything else that comes to mind that we need to hit on, Roger?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you very much for coming and hanging out and talking sports. It's been great. And thanks for anybody who listens to the, I'll call it the bonus edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk.
Yeah, thanks, people.
All right. Everybody have a great day and go watch some sports.